Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to get my slides up. All right, everyone should be able to see that. So I'm just going to close that. Bring this over here so I can see the questions. So today's going to be interactive as well. So basically, anything? Oh, okay. You should be able to hear me now. Sorry, my volume was off. All right, just checking that's still working. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for those of you who are on here this morning. You will get a replay as well for today. So don't stress about taking tons of notes, because the recording will actually be sent out to you so that you can actually learn more again. So some of you on the call may already be clinic owners of Roccoco, some of you may not. So this is designed as a crash course in Roccoco. Now we've got over 80 SKUs, so I can't go through every single product in an hour. But given that we have just done the webinar before, which particularly was on acne, I'm going to center this training predominantly around acne, and then we can do some other ones later on. In 2 weeks' time, I do have a webinar on skin diagnosis, so I will put the link up for that today, because the biggest challenge I find for most estheticians is that they fail at the skin diagnosis part. And if you don't get the diagnosis part right, it doesn't matter what you do with your products, you're not giving the correct products. So I'm going to start the slideshow from the beginning. Okay. So it's going to work. Okay. So why Roccoco? I could tell you it's our innovative formulas and everything else, but at the end of the day, what makes us quite unique is the ability to target multiple skin conditions at once. There is no other brand on the market that allows you to do that. So we're the only brand where you can treat acne, rosacea, eczema, seborrheic dermatitis, and aging all at the same time. Everyone else makes you treat one condition at a time and then focus on the next thing. And often the way that they treat acne actually will flare up rosacea and then will flare up eczema. Now, there are products on the market currently where they are bespoke, where they are customized for the person. Can I tell you, I've done these quizzes. They're horrendous what they would have recommended for me. It would have dried the heck out of my skin. I'm menopausal, and it would have flared up my rosacea. So at the end of the day, this is why we are quite unique. It allows you to treat multiple things at once, which means your customers turn into raving fans, because, you know, the reality of with customers is once you fix one problem, they're going to focus on another problem automatically. That's just what they do. So I'm going to start with our cleansers. Everyone thinks cleansers are like a nothing product. And so for many consumers, they don't want to spend money on them because they don't understand the relevance. So it's really important that you tell them why their cleanser is their first step in their regime. Most people tend to go for a serum or a moisturizer. So I'm going to tell you from a chemist perspective, a moisturizer is far more potent than a serum. Everyone has it the wrong way around in the industry, and that is because it's got fat lipids in there, which will actually help it to penetrate into the skin. The skin has a waterproofing layer. Most serums don't penetrate anywhere near as much as what a moisturizer does, and therefore your moisturizer is your powerhouse. If you have a client who is on a budget, I know that it's not ideal. The minimum thing I would sell them is a cleanser and a moisturizer at a minimum. They would be better off with just those two things than having a serum or a moisturizer without the cleanser. And I'll explain why. Most skin dysfunction starts with inflammation. All of it starts with inflammation. Aging is inflammation, acne is inflammation, rosacea is inflammation, eczema is inflammation. It's all inflammation. And what most people don't realize, and consumers definitely don't realize this, is that surfactants interact with the skin barrier. So depending on what is in your cleanser, when you wash it off and you massage it onto your skin, some of it remains. And so if they are using something that is store-bought from Walmart or something else that is not well formulated from the point of view that it's got, you know, things like sodium lauryl sulfate in there, which can strip the lipids and denature proteins, that is going to cause a challenge for their skin. Even if a chemist, can I be honest, puts something else in there to counteract the dryness of it, it's still not great for the skin. So these cleanser surfactant micelles, you can see here in the slide, once they'll actually get into the lipid bilayer. And even after washing off, they stay there. This is the same principle when you apply products. It can take up to 3 days. So when you ever introduce a new product into a client, there needs to be a 3 to 4 day adjustment, which means during this time, they may experience a little bit of irritation, they may experience a little bit of dryness, and they may think they're reacting. They're not. It's just simply all of the stuff that they've actually put on their skin is sitting in these layers and it's interacting with one another. And sometimes products don't play well together. And that's all it is. Most times it will settle within about 3 to 4 days. And then it's fine. It's like, they're like, oh my God, what's happened to my skin? It's transformed. So if they use another cleanser and they don't use like a Roccoco one, you will get vastly different results. I'm telling you now. We gave products to a beauty editor here in Australia, and we gave her a full set. We gave her a cleanser, an essence, a serum, and a moisturizer. She used it, no problem whatsoever, loved it. The following morning, she went back to her old cleanser. Guess what happened? The moment she put her moisturizer on, she started getting stinging. So that just really highlighted to me how important this is. Like, don't underestimate a cleanser. If you have a cleanser that is setting their skin up for inflammation and it's denaturing proteins and stripping lipids out, it is literally like trying to herd cats, getting that skin to do what you want it to do. The first part is shutting off the inflammation. And if your cleanser is igniting inflammation in the skin, good luck to you getting the skin the way you want it to be. And this is why our results are so dramatically different, is because all of our cleansers are really high in either omega-6 or omega-3. And omega-6 linoleic acid is directly put into the skin barrier. The skin can metabolize it and create ceramides and cholesterol out of it. So that's the first thing that I would actually say is, with the brand, the first thing I'd do is recommend a cleanser. Even if they've got their own cleanser, look, honestly, I would actually swap it out. If they're making that investment, the chances are they're not going to get the results. And we are not a cheap brand, and I will say we're not a cheap brand, but we don't do that deliberately. We do it because we make our products to fix a problem. We don't make them to a price bracket. So these are all the cleansers that we've got, and I'll just briefly go through the ones that are relevant for acne so that you've got a bit better of an idea for them. So pore cleansing oil is our primary one we use for blackheads. That's predominantly what I use it for. It's really good at removing makeup. It is a little bit lighter in texture. Now, if you live in an arid climate, such as Colorado or somewhere where there is not a lot of humidity, and it's super cold, I would never buy this cleanser. It's not the right cleanser for you. So depending on where you live will depend on what is best for your climate there. Polishing cleanser is not something that I would generally recommend daily. You can use it. The best way to use this cleanser is actually over the top of one of the cleansing oils or the ruby crystal cleanser. It will then act as a little bit of a buffer, but it really buffs the skin and it's really gentle when you do it this way. So there's nothing in there that's aggressive, but with anything that has beads in it, because it's got micro crystalline cellulose beads in it, anything that has a bead, people can tend to overdo it. It's not the product, it's the methodology on how they're doing it. This is also safe to use for a rosacea skin, but again, I would put it over the top of a cleanser, and I'll go into these in a little bit more detail shortly. Soothing cleansing oil is probably our most popular cleansing oil. It's got omega-3s in it and omega-6. So this is the best one for inflamed acne besides Ruby Crystal Cleanser. So if you have someone who's getting inflamed closed comedones or cystic acne, I wouldn't be putting them on pore cleansing oil. I'd be putting them on Soothing or Ruby. And if you live in a cold climate, then I would be putting them on Soothing Cleansing Oil, or there's low humidity, I'd be putting them on Soothing Cleansing Oil. You're going to find that their skin copes much better with it, and especially in winter. Like in winter, nobody should be buying pore cleansing oil, whether that's in Australia or whether that's in the USA. Everyone should be using Soothing Cleansing Oil or Ruby or something more nourishing. So our next one, I won't go through the hibiscus for the moment. Fruit gel wash, I tend to use this more for people who don't really have a problem with their skin, and they're just die-hard foaming facial cleanser freaks, that because there are some people like that. They just will not use an oil cleanser. This is actually hydrating and got amino acids in it as well, and it's got some gentle AHAs. Now, the percentage of AHAs in this is not going to make your client sun sensitive. So there's no requirement, even though I know most of you recommend sunscreen, it's not a requirement that, oh my God, they're using this product, they must use sunscreen. Then we've got our teen cleanser, which is phenomenal for teenagers. It also removes the biofilm. So we're going to go through that in a lot more detail. Can an adult use it? Yes, they can, particularly if they've got fungal. However, I find even for myself, the best one is actually Ruby Crystal Cleanser for fungal, unless they've got like the breakouts, or it looks like breakouts on the forehead. The teen cleanser will help quite beautifully with that. And the Ruby is our most sold cleanser of all for acne prone skins. And I'll go through that. The reason why is it's a treatment cleanser. It doesn't just clean the skin, it actually reduces sebum. It actually will reduce post-inflammatory pigmentation, post-inflammatory erythema. It also helps with scarring, it stimulates collagen, and it's antihistamine. So for anyone who has atopic conditions such as eczema, or perhaps they've got fungal acne. I also get seborrheic dermatitis. I can't use anything but this now. So originally I was using Soothing Cleansing Oil, and I just can't go back to it, because the moment I swap my routine, my seborrheic dermatitis flares up again. So that is the one that sells the most. All of these also come in a 15 ml mini for the cleansing oils. The polishing cleanser does not come in a smaller size. Neither does the teen cleanser, and the Ruby Crystal comes in a 30 ml as well. So it's a great introductory for people to try the products. We recently had someone buy the 30 ml Ruby Crystal cleanser, and like myself, she's very, very sensitive, and so she is very hesitant to use products because of her sensitivities, because she never has a good reaction. So pore cleansing oil. So this beautiful photo is from Aberdeen in South Australia, from Luscious Lips Makeup Studio. So everyone thinks that you can't get rid of sebaceous filaments. That's not true. The reality of it is if your clients are continuously filling up again, either your products aren't working correctly, or they're doing something they're not telling you. It's one of those two things. Because if a product is designed perfectly, then you shouldn't be continuously getting refilling of blackheads and congestion and sebaceous filaments at the end of the day. So It's an oil-based cleanser. It's basically based on sunflower oil. It's also got another ingredient called C1215 alkyl benzoate on as well. And this helps to actually dissolve the congestion in the skin and the sebaceous filaments. It's the best one for blackheads and non-inflamed skin. So if they don't have any closed comedones or anything like that, and they've just got a bit of congestion, this is great for them. It also increases the amount of linoleic acid available in the skin. And this is important because what it does is it stops the inside of the follicle from scaling and allowing the acne biofilm to stick to it, which means that your skin cells can shed off properly, which means less breakouts, less blackheads. So that's the relevance of it. Most consumers use pore strips for sebaceous filaments, thinking they're blackheads. When simply all they would need to do would be use a cleanser and they would not have this issue. So in a nutshell, we're going to go through each of these, and I'm going to go through what you would actually use for these. Now, for those of you who've already signed up for an account, I will tag in the forum again this file. So there's a file of what to recommend for each condition for acne. It's a quick guide with a photo, so you know exactly what you should be recommending for them. So I'll tag everyone afterwards. If you don't have an account currently and you would like one, I will also get our marketing team to send out in the email a link for you to sign up for an account so that you can do so, and then you'll be able to see the other. So these are the ones that we would recommend for blackheads. The teen cleanser line was designed for teenagers. Now, could an adult use it? Yes, but I wouldn't be using it on anyone over 30. You're not going to get enough hydration with the products, particularly the moisturizer and the serum. There's not enough hydration there. You can definitely add the teen cleanser in with other products, or you could do the teen cleanser as like a second cleanse potentially. But pore cleansing oil would probably be my primary choice for blackheads or closed comedones. Purifying treatment essence, I'll go through this too. It's a willow bark and niacinamide toner and sodium lactate toner. And what that does is over about 6 months, it reduces the amount of microcomedones by about 6 months. Now, the difference between using this and not using this is night and day. And you must use a cotton pad with it. If you are just spraying this onto the skin, you won't get the same effect. I compare it to spraying a shower with a cleaner and then not coming along and wiping it with a cloth. You're not going to get the grime off. And the idea of this is to actually remove those cells from the mouth of the follicle so that hopefully it'll clear them out so that sebum can actually start to flow. Then we've got Mandelic Fusion, which is our best one for blackheads. It also does do inflammation, but it is the best product for blackheads. I wouldn't put them on Clarifying C. And Eruption Emulsion is our most multifunctional acne moisturizer. So Eruption Emulsion will actually regulate cellular communication, so bacteria cannot actually activate the immune system in the skin. That means that you have less inflammation. So one of the big things for this product is it rapidly reduces cysts. It reduces edema in the skin. It actually makes them not painful anymore. It helps to regulate cellular turnover so that they don't get as much congestion in the skin. And it also helps to strengthen the follicle as well. So it's the most comprehensive moisturizer for it. It also helps to treat rosacea at the same time. So as far as products for this, I would recommend Sulfur Mask and Polishing Cleanser. Now, we have 2 masks for acne. Sulfur Mask was our original one, and then we brought out Charcoal Clarity Mask. Now, Charcoal Clarity Mask is a finalist for Cosmetic Innovation. There's a price difference between them. The difference is the speed at which it suppresses inflammation. So Sulfur Mask is designed for your mild acne, your general acne, and your Charcoal Clarity is designed for people who are getting massive cysts that are quite painful that want them to actually come down really, really quickly, because it will actually help with the edema. Now, both of them have enzymes in them, and both of them will help exfoliate the skin. The other thing with the charcoal clarity is that pH balances the skin really, really quickly within 15 minutes. So that's the biggest difference between them. So I always look at it from the severity of the acne. What are we looking at? So everyone, however, could use charcoal clarity mask. You could use it as a spot treatment, just popping it like on a spot overnight and then leaving it. I wouldn't put it over the whole face. It's probably not recommended, but on one area, instead of using like a zit sticker or some other like drying ingredient that's actually going to be trying to dry acne out, which is the last thing we want to do. This will actually help for it to flatten really, really quickly. Closed comedones. So you can see here, there's a ton of them and they're all starting to flare up. One of the biggest misconceptions from consumers is they think they don't have acne because they're not inflamed, and they do. And so when they first start on products, it's about educating them, which we'll go through in the actual skin diagnosis bit, because it's about doing a consult. You have to educate them what to expect. If they don't expect their skin to flare, they panic. And cystic acne or closed comedones turns into cystic acne. They're like ticking time bombs of acne lesions that are just ready for the right opportunity for them to burst, basically. So the best choice for this would actually be either Soothing or Ruby. And again, it's going to depend on the climate. If you live in a really, really cold climate, I'd be going Ruby. If it's super hot where you are, then I'd be going Soothing. And when I'm talking hot, I'm talking, I don't know what this is in Fahrenheit, but, I'm talking, 35, 40 degrees Celsius, and humidity is really, really high. So you'd be going for those. The reason why you're going for those is because both of those have omega-3 oils in them, and omega-3 tend to be anti-inflammatory topically. Now, omega-3s internally can be a mixed bag. In some skin conditions, they actually help, but in others, they can actually make worse. And I believe it's got to do with the severity of the acne. So it can be a bit of a double-edged sword, and everyone reacts slightly differently. So there's no hard or fast rule on them. Purifying treatment essence, again, every acne client should be on this. It's actually our BHA. It's our version of salicylic acid with the willow bark. And it's standardized, so we know that we're getting the same amount each time in a formula. Clarifying C, as I said, think C closed comedones. So what this actually does is it actually helps to strengthen the follicle wall. It reduces closed comedones by up to 78% within 2 months. And it actually helps to burrow into the skin and get them out. Now, I said in our first webinar, these are just not going to dissolve. They actually have to come out. So there's one of two ways. They're going to come out through the skin, which will be breakouts, or if the client is educated and you've told them that the way that you get away having less breakouts is by having facials with you, then they should be booked in for a facial every 2 weeks. And if you are doing our herbal blackhead gel treatment, you'll find that these will come out quite easily. So they've got two choices. If you've got clients who are local, then they should be coming in to have a treatment. One, they're going to have less trauma with regards to the breakouts that happen, because this type of skin, they're going to have massive breakout. And when someone has to deal with that, that can be quite difficult. Again, I would recommend charcoal clarity masks for this, because I know they're going to break out. So this is the thing that's going to calm their skin down and stop the inflammation the quickest. And it's recommended for Mandelic as well as the clarifying C, but again, like if they don't want to buy it, that's okay. But we do thoroughly recommend this for cystic acne, because it just shuts the inflammation down so quickly. And again, polishing cleanser, but again, sparingly, just have a look at what's happening in the skin. If the skin is flaring up too much, then cut it back to maybe once a week or something like that. As I said, clients tend to overdo things, and that's why they end up having problems. So cystic acne. So all of those closed comedones will generally turn into cystic acne. And so the best one for that, again, it's fairly similar with the previous prescription. The only difference is we do recommend they have mandelic and clarifying C. And the reason being is because it just shuts the inflammation down quicker. From a client's perspective, the more that they have that inflammation in the skin, the longer that they're inflamed for, the more scarring they're going to get. And this is how you sell it to them. The challenge with most therapists is you can't sell successfully and you can't explain to the client why they need the products. If you don't tell them why they need the products, they think you're just pitching them. If you explain to them what it's going to do for them and how it's going to help them, automatically they're going to buy it. You know, if you pitch it from the point of view that the clarifying C is actually going to help prevent the breakouts from coming, but the mandelic fusion is actually going to help you prevent less scarring. I mean, clarifying C will too, but mandelic is massively going to do it. Mandelic is like LED in a bottle. It actually reduces porphyrins. So for your acne client, those porphyrins are what are rupturing their follicle wall along with MMPs and allowing the acne breakouts to spread further into the skin. So generally, I would recommend both of these together along with eruption emulsion. If it's cold, I will just tell you, if it's really, really cold, you may need to add in like something at nighttime to boost, like either I would suggest overnight recovery mask or hydrating mask. Overnight would be the superior choice, and peptide finisher. Peptide finisher added over the top of this in winter is a lifesaver for people who've got acne, because the moment they go outside, they are experiencing the cold, and then they come into heating. And what happens is they start to get like little micro fissures or cracks in the skin, and their skin starts to dry out. And the moment their skin starts to dry out, they're going to start hyperproliferating because they're producing a cytokine called interleukin-1A. So it's really important they don't dry out. And the other reason being is because no scar heals in a desiccated environment, which means if the skin's dehydrated, nothing is healing properly. And the reason why most people have such prolonged inflammation is because it's not addressed. And the quicker you address it, the less scarring and the less scar tissue that can occur. Scar tissue comes from prolonged inflammation. So shutting that off is super, super important. The highly recommended products are charcoal, clarity, and globiotic and polishing. They don't need them. Globiotic serum will help to balance the microbiome of the skin, and it helps to dramatically just extinguish inflammation. And you can use it a little bit like an ampule. So I wouldn't have them use it continuously. I might have them use it for 2 weeks and then stop it for a while and then reintroduce it again. Because I found that if you use it continuously, whilst the hydration is really good, it doesn't really have that much more impact on the acne after about 2 weeks. So it's good for 2 weeks. If they live in a really arid climate, then yes, that would be worth adding in, because just purely because of the hydration perspective. Papulopustular rosacea. So these people are acne prone, but they're not active acne. Now, sometimes you can get both happening at the same time, where they've still got acne, but they've also got rosacea occurring. Now, one of the dead giveaways between, I'll just show you this one and this one, is that you'll see here, predominantly it starts on the nose. So for most people who have this, it'll start on the nose will go red. And then once the barrier degrades a bit more, it will start to come out here. You generally don't, with this type of skin, you won't generally see closed comedones or blackheads. Occasionally you might, but it's pretty rare. And that's only if they've been acne prone. Now, one of the questions you do need to differentiate is how long have they had this? Now, I normally ask that question, and if they've had had whatever since 13, the likelihood is it's acne, but not always. because we had a client once who was one of our therapists in Melbourne, and she actually had that from 13, which threw her because she thought it was acne. I said, I don't think it is. So this is the great thing about eruption emulsion. If you are not sure whether it's rosacea or it's acne, if it's just basically papules and whatever, if it's capillaries, the eruption emulsion will treat it, but it won't treat papulopustular rosacea. And so basically with this type of product, you need to actually use reactive intensive. It is the only product that addresses this. And yes, it's hideously expensive. But the reality of it is I'm telling you now, none of your customers will complain when their rosacea's gone. Because as a rosacea client myself, our biggest fear is that we are going to get rhinophoma and that our nose is going to enlarge and thicken. And it is the last thing that we actually want, because actually treating that is incredibly painful, because they would have to literally scrape and cut the skin off. So that's what you need to do for it if they're acne prone, but they're not active acne. Now, hydrating treatment essence is not a BHA, but you'll probably find this type of rosacea is showing up in more older clients. Generally, we're in our 40s, we're starting to be perimenopausal, so we're actually not that oily anyway. And reactive skin serum has pretty much 80% of the products that are in plant harmonizing serum, which was our first ever acne serum that we developed, and it's a DHT blocker. Now, all of our other products block DHT. Clarifying C does it by 100%, which is why it should be the #1 choice for an acne client. But you are still treating acne with reactive skin serum, which is why I'm telling you this. So, but this is designed to reduce vascular endothelial growth factor in the skin, which means your clients don't get as much flushing, they don't get as much redness, and their immune system won't overreact as much, because that's what rosacea is. It's an overreaction of the immune system to things such as pollens, Demodex mites, and things like that. So papulopustular rosacea, this is what I would be using for them. And you can tell by the severity, this is not true rosacea. True rosacea looks like that. It's usually quite severe. And so if you were to look under a Woods lamp, you might see a little bit of oil, but on the papulopustular, like the true rosacea, who's not acne prone, you won't see any of that. They won't have any oil at all. So highly recommended is the overnight recovery mask, peptide sheet mask, globiotic, and peptide serum. Overnight recovery mask works really well for rosacea clients in particular, as well as acne. It's also anti-aging. So it's a universal mask that you could recommend for your clients, that just about everyone would benefit from it. And it's also a finalist in cosmetic innovation as well. So from a rosacea perspective and a seborrheic dermatitis perspective, what it does is it rapidly suppresses inflammation and it helps rebuild the skin barrier quite dramatically. The other thing that is amazing for it is it's quite common with rosacea to get stinging in the skin, because our skin is hyperreactive. So with this actual mask, what it actually does is it actually really dials down the sensations of stinging and burning in the skin. It is superior to the peptide sheet mask from that perspective. And the great thing about this is you need such a small amount from the client's perspective to actually use this. You literally just apply it over the top of your moisturizer and they sleep in it. So it's very economical. You don't need a lot of it. It's not like sulfur mask or any of those other masks that are clay-based. You literally are using like the size of a pea, a really small amount, and it will do the whole face. So it should last them for nearly 6 months, the mask itself. So globiotic, again, globiotic is our probiotic serum. So it helps to balance the microbiome, and it's also got prebiotics in it as well. So for rosacea skin. And then we've got papulopustular, because again, often people get this confused between acne and rosacea. So this type of skin is not acne prone at all. And so with their skin, you don't need to be worried about whether or not they actually are using products with comedogenic ingredients in it. Now, all of us like to think that if it's comedogenic, nobody can use it. That's not true. In fact, a lipid dry skin needs those ingredients. And so that is why we have a couple of products in our range that are not acne safe, because they shouldn't be. Because if we try to box everyone into being being completely acne safe, we're actually doing a disservice to these people and every other lipid dry skin out there, because their skin needs these ingredients for their skin to actually maintain hydration. So hibiscus milk cleanser is the number one cleanser that you should be using for this type of skin, above the ruby crystal. Like, that would be the first one that I would go for, because it massively reduces inflammation. It's got phospholipids in there that actually enable ceramides to be produced in the skin. It's also got in there ingredients that gently exfoliate. Consider it like a 2% lactic acid. It's got a hibiscus acid in there. And it's also got another hibiscus which rapidly improves barrier function, increasing filaggrin, cholesterol, and ceramides in the skin. So some of the older ones that were out do not have fragrance in. So I'm telling you now, your clients are going to tell you it smells like milk or rotten milk, as some people have told me. It just simply has no fragrance in it. And we deliberately did that because it's not designed for it. The skins that this is going on are severely barrier impaired. Think of people who are going through radiation therapy. You don't want fragrance in it. And it's the natural smell of it. If they really find it that objectionable, I tell them to pop a drop of essential oil in there. And then that's up to them then if they put that in, because it would literally just cover the smell of it. But it's the natural odor of the product. So I don't want you to be put off by it, but I'm just being transparent, because the reality of it is I smell it and I just think it smells like hibiscus milk cleanser. But everyone's sense of smell is quite distinctive. And so some people will smell things more than others, but it doesn't have any fragrance in it whatsoever. Neither do the cleansing oils either. So there's no smell in any of those as well. Your hydrating treatment essence, again, it's the best one for this. So I'm going to show you some photos after of how rapidly this repairs the barrier. Reactive skin serum. This is your preventer. So again, you would have seen in the previous slide, it's on there as well, reactive skin serum. So reactive skin serum is helping prevent vasodilation and edema in the skin, which the more you prevent that and dial down the immune system of the skin, the less rosacea flare-ups you have. If they don't use this, they will keep getting rosacea. And you're going to be playing a game of tag, because the intensive cream and the intense CPR will help shut the inflammation off and reduce it. But if you don't stop it from happening in the first place, it's like cleaning up a mess and allowing the mess to continue to happen, knowing like that someone's breaking something, and then you're just cleaning up the mess every day. Why not stop it being broken in the first place? And so this is what we're doing here. So Reactive Skin Cream Intense, it has the highest levels of cholesterol of any of our products. It is still anti-aging. This was originally, like 10 years ago, our premier anti-aging cream. So they're still getting anti-aging with their rosacea treatment. It's not like they're not. But once their rosacea is under control, they can then look at adding other products in if they are wanting to address aging more. But the thing is first to get it under control, because if you don't get it under control, you'll continuously have flare-ups. Now, in this type of skin, I would also add in intense CPR over the top. This is one of the, I think there's only 2 products. This is one product that does have some animal product in. It's a lanolin. Now, we will be replacing that within the next probably 12 months with a vegan alternative. However, you can't beat it from a barrier repair perspective. It massively shuts down the inflammation really, really quickly. And again, as I said, this person is not acne prone. This is going to dramatically reduce their inflammation quite significantly. And as far as recommended products, it's overnight recovery mask, peptide sheet mask, particularly if they're massively dehydrated, and globiotic serum because it's microbiome balancing. Peptide serum. I tend to recommend peptide serum just when it's cold. So they wouldn't need peptide serum otherwise, but if it's cold where you are, then this would be the best option for them. So essences, we'll go through both of these in a little bit more detail. So hydrating essence has a native rosella extract in it, and this is massively increasing hydration in the skin. It also has in there a fermented aloe vera. Now, some people are allergic to aloe vera. I've not really had anyone allergic to this at all from since it's been launched. But what it does is it massively stimulates repair of the skin, and it actually will stimulate collagen by up to 600%. So this is why it's really beneficial for one, aging, two, clients who have eczema or rosacea or barrier impaired skins. It's phenomenal for it. It would be your choice at the moment for people who have seborrheic dermatitis, although I will be upfront, we are bringing out something else for that, which we have not released yet. So we have a new formula coming out for seborrheic dermatitis specifically, because it's its own beast. And I tried originally to create something within the hydrating essence range, but it didn't quite work. So I figure it's just easier to have it separate. Purifying, again, it's for your acne prone skin. So what this does is it's a BHA based on willow bark. It's also got the salt of lactic acid, sodium lactate in there, and it's got niacinamide. So niacinamide helps prevent your post-inflammatory erythema. It also will regulate sebum. It is also antimicrobial because they've compared it to antibiotics, and it will help to regulate cellular turnover and to stop them getting as much congestion in the skin. So I'll just go into the Ruby a little bit more so that you can see what it actually does. So it's a 7-in-1 cleansing balm. So this product was the first ever professional skincare brand to ever win an LA award, which is the Oscars of Cosmetic Innovation. This is a global award that is judged by PhD scientists and chemists. So it's not judged by beauty editors, and it's not a votes judge. It's based on its merits of the product. Many of the awards that are out there are based on votes, and so the bigger companies will always win because they have more people buying their products. So this is independent. They look at the product, they look at the efficacy of it, and then they decide whether or not it's a winner. So this one in 2022, and the reason why I created it was I wanted to see whether or not we could have a massive impact with a cleanser just simply being applied to the skin, which it did. So it reduces redness, it evens out the skin tone and reduces pigmentation. It repairs the skin barrier massively, and it reduces histamine and itch. It also accelerates wound repair and collagen. It's also antimicrobial, and it reduces congestion and clogging. So it's not just a cleanser. It's not just cleaning the skin. It's actually doing something. So these are some of the key ingredients in it. So I'll share these with you, but one of the things I will say to you is do not get bogged down in ingredients. I see so many therapists who want to talk about ingredients. Can be honest, consumers don't really care. What they want to know is, what is the product going to do for my skin and how is it going to help me? And often when you talk ingredients, you're geeking out on it, but trust me, my staff have had to tell me they have no clue what I'm talking about. So I don't talk about the ingredients anymore because, to be honest, when you start doing that, all that happens is your clients go and look for another product that's cheaper that has similar ingredients in it, which they're never going to get the same combination because our formula is quite unique. But they will look for something else and go, oh, it's got ethyl linoleucate in it. Let me go find something else with that in there, thinking they're doing themselves a favor when all they're doing themselves is a disservice, because what will end up happening is whatever else is in that formula will be problematic. And then they'll go, oh, it's not working. So don't get bogged down on this. This is just to give you a little bit of science behind it. So your passion fruit seed oil reduces the appearance of inflammation and massively accelerates wound repair. So this is not the same passion fruit seed oil that is in the soothing cleansing oil. I will tell you this right now. This passion fruit seed oil is $1,300 a kilo, not 90. So hence the price difference. But again, the Ruby Crystal Cleanser, despite its smaller size, lasts just as long as the cleansing oil. So you just don't need as much of it. Ethyl linoleucate decreases pigmentation. It also helps with post-inflammatory erythema and decreases acne lesions because it's antimicrobial. So it is a component of linoleic acid. So again, understanding the importance of linoleic acid in the skincare. The jojoba complex is anti-inflammatory, and this is helping with the skin barrier as well. It's a natural plant cholesterol. So if you've got a skin that is in a cold climate, there is no humidity, this massively helps with it. Squalene it's again derived from sugarcane, accelerates skin cell turnover by 39% for smoother skin. So it's non-acid technology, and it's encouraging it simply from hydration. Hydration is the key for acne clients. It's also got oat oil in there, which naturally contains 5 types of ceramides, along with beta-glucan and avenanthramides, which rapidly suppress inflammation. And then we've got our ruby, and no, they won't feel the ruby in it. It's a liquid extract. So they pulverize the minerals and then they make an extract out of it. And this has been shown to activate metabolism to detoxify and purify the skin. So this is the reduction in inflammation after just one cleanse. She hasn't done anything else. It's just a cleanse. And you can see up here, you can see there's a histamine type reaction going on here as well. So she's got irritation there with her skin. So that's the Ruby Crystal Cleanser. If you have not tried this yet, then my suggestion would be to buy a 30 ml if you're still putting your feet in the water or dipping your toe in the water, and try the product. You'll be converted. And all of your clients will be converted as well once they try this. Again, this is one of our clinic owners, and this is the reduction in overnight inflammation, which is why we recommend this product, particularly for cystic acne. Like, it really just takes down the inflammation, and you can see how much the healing of the skin has been accelerated. A cleanser makes a massive difference, like a huge difference to how quickly the skin heals and the hydration levels of it. And this is mine. So I did not have seborrheic dermatitis at that point. You can see I've got a few spots of rosacea on my nose in this photo, but that was the reduction in inflammation, and it had also brightened my skin as well. So quite dramatic for reducing inflammation. So if you've got anyone who's barrier compromised, it's phenomenal. Now, there are aromatherapy oils in there, but they're in a really low percentage. So we've never had anyone have a reaction. So if you've got concerns or hesitations, my suggestion would be to test it in the middle of the in the middle of the elbow. If your client's going to have a reaction, they'll do it within 24 hours. You can pop it on, test it, and see what happens. Oops, so going to the next slide for me. So doing that. Okay. I'll skip hibiscus because we're mainly just doing acne. So I just also want to give a little bit of an introduction to the polishing cleanser. So one of the biggest concerns for acne clients is scarring, and they want to be able to get rid of scars quicker, and they're looking at what alternatives there are. Now, some of you can microneedle and others of you can't. Personally, look, I know microneedling works. I'm not a fan of it because I don't like pain. So, and the reality of it is if you are using an anesthetic, you reduce the ability of it to actually do its job properly. And without the anesthetic, it's actually quite painful. So this is a great alternative for scarring, along with your clarifying C, which also has actives in there. And Vitaskin will also help with scarring as well. But the really big one for acne scarring is actually LRT cream. Now, whilst it's an anti-aging cream, it will help with ice pick scarring and things like that, as well as rolling scars. So whenever you're recommending a product, my suggestion is do not look at the age of the client, look at the skin that is in front of you. So that would be the equivalent of looking at like a 2-year-old who's got chronic eczema and saying, I'm not going to give them that because they're 2, but I'll give it to someone who's 20 who's got the exact same skin condition. And I say this because acne is happening earlier and earlier. We've got clients as young as 9 getting a really, really bad acne. So just ignore the age, because the age concern is, well, how's that going to impact their skin? It's like, well, look what's in front of you. If they've got a problem with their skin, that needs to be addressed. So this is actually from a journal study. So there's a pathway in the skin called the hippo pathway, and it's got to do with stem cell regeneration and your skin producing its own stem cells. And you can actually, they've been shown to regulate skin wound healing. So one of the ingredients in here actually does that. And I don't know how that's showing up on my screen. It might have been pixelated, but literally the scarring is way less. So with the actual signaling that happens, when it's the mechanical exfoliation action that is regenerating and doing this, activating this pathway. So if you just apply it on the skin and you don't massage, you're not going to get this pathway stimulation. And they found that it occurs within about 24 hours of actually using it, that you'll start to see a difference. So I will just polishing cleanser. So this has got a natural salicylic acid in it. So I'll just go through to the next one, and it's derived from wintergreen. So it's the world's first natural salicylic acid. We were the first company in Australia to actually get it. And it's also got enzymes in there that are disinfecting for the skin. So this is where the advantage, particularly for your acne clients, are papain and bromelain and keratozyme, which are our other enzymes. So we've got other enzymes that papain and bromelain are in, and keratinase, which is in our keratozyme. They are not disinfecting. They are simply proteolytic. And this is where this is quite different. So not only is this proteolytic, so it's digesting dead skin cells, it's also disinfecting the skin, which is killing off the acne bacteria. It provides rapid exfoliation without any irritation. So, and it's recommended for sensitive skins. So it's also got prebiotics in there, which are a healthy food source for your good bacteria, and that inhibits the growth of your acne bacteria as well. So your teen, I'll just go through the cleanser. So this has actually got tea tree oil smell. There are still, just before I forget, there are still some skin nectars left. We discontinued it because during COVID, we had bushfires here in Australia. And what ended up happening was, because it's a natural plant material, the crops got destroyed. So when they grew back, they had to make it out of different parts of the plant. And all it smells to me like is tea tree. And this is exactly what this smells like. It's tea tree. So the Detoxify Clean is actually quite nice. As I said, you just can't, I wouldn't use it on a skin that's over 30. You're not going to feel like it's enough hydration. But what it basically does, it's like a mousse, like a foaming hand wash, and they don't have to wet the skin first or anything. They just apply it and massage it. and it's really good for removing grime and dirt. Now, if you've got any clients that have mechanics as husbands, this is phenomenal for removing the grease from between the cracks in their skin as well. So if you've got clients who've got fungal acne, so this is one of our clients who lives in Singapore. And if you've ever been to Singapore, you'll know how very hot and humid it is. And despite our best efforts to get rid of this, you know, again, very hard to tell, but we thought it was congestion originally because she's a long distance client. But she decided to participate in our trial for the teen line, and that was 7 days. It was gone. So what makes this quite unique versus the other cleansers is it removes the biofilm. Now, the only other way traditionally you could do that is with chemical peels or galvanic. So eruption emulsion, our acne moisturizer, also helps to break down biofilms and prevent them from coming back. This does not prevent them from coming back, but it does remove them. So in Australia, I'm the only person with this ingredient. I ended up buying a ton of it when it first was introduced. And again, I was the first to have it. But you can see the difference. So if you've got clients who are struggling with fungal acne, this cleanser is a game changer for them. Now, how do you tell if it's fungal acne? You can't extract it. If you've ever tried to extract fungal acne, you get nothing out of it. People who are asthmatic will have a high propensity for fungal acne because of the steroids that we have in our system. People who have allergies will have a high propensity for fungal acne as well. And anyone who continuously uses sunscreen. Sunscreen alters the microbiome. And so you will have in certain skin conditions where they'll have an overgrowth of fungal as a result of that. So it does feel really beautiful, and it also kills Demodex mites. So you could actually utilize this potentially as a lash cleaner as well. So it doesn't strip the skin, but again, it's not enough for an aging skin. So if they're over 30, they're not going to enjoy this. This client was only about 25 or 26 at the time. So as I'm saying, I wouldn't use it on an older client. You'll probably find it's not enough. And when we bought this out, we also did not have Ruby Crystal Cleanser, but Ruby Crystal Cleanser does not remove the biofilm like this does. So it's quite dramatic. So if you haven't tried this as well, have a look at it, especially if you're looking, because it comes in a 3-step pack for teenagers. It's a really good alternative for them. So our Treat Clear is 2 botanical retinol alternatives, bakuchiol and maclura, and it reduces sebum. It's got your willow bark in there, and it restores ceramide. So it acts like a liquid patch, increasing skin penetration of actives by 50%. So it results in faster congestion removal and ceramides calm inflammation. So this is for mild teenage acne. If you've got teen clients who have really severe acne, they need to be on our adult line because this is not going to address it adequately enough. And then we've got our Nourish Confident. Again, it reduces PIE, it increases AHAs, the AHAs increase the cell turnover. So we've got in there a salicylic acid combined with a phytosphingosine. So it's actually helping to exfoliate inside the pore, as well as actually adding ceramides so that it'll actually reduce the amount of post-inflammatory erythema that they get at the same time. In the last webinar, we spoke about salicylyl phytosphingosine, which is a ceramide that dramatically helps to accelerate healing, and it helps prevent dryness. The molecule in there is a combination of salicylic acid with phytosphingosine, and on the label you'll see it as salicylyl phytosphingosine, I think it is, and that's a salicylic acid combined with it. So it decreases the size of your sebaceous glands and calms and purifies the skin as well. It's a very light gel texture. Like the range is actually really beautiful. I love the feel of it. It's just not quite enough for my skin. And the caviar lime is also exfoliating, but it also helps to decrease sensitivity in the skin. I'll pop that in twice. So that's the Mandelic photo that we showed originally, and that's with an hour and a half, which is why I'm suggesting for your cystic breakouts that you actually use that. So I might, I don't know what's happened there. That's the other side. Again, a day and a half. So you can see the dramatic reduction in inflammation from Mandelic being added into cystic acne, like it's a game changer. So if you are having trouble selling things, my suggestion is to show photos, because that's enough to convince people generally to actually move ahead with the next thing. So I'll just briefly go through some of the serums. Must be on a webinar. So the ones that we've got for acne are Mandelic Plant Clarifying C and clarifying C, Mandelic Plant. So it's your three top ones. So Mandelic, as I said, it's LED in a bottle. I would be using for this for anyone who has inflamed cystic acne. It also has prebiotics in there that help to balance the microbiome, and it's got Mandelic 8% in it. Everyone has always asked me, why don't you have a high percentage? Of like, I don't feel the need to. I think with all of the other herbs that we have in there, it rapidly suppresses inflammation. There's no requirement. Now, it is a yellowy to orange color. None of our products are what I would call vanilla. Occasionally you'll find something that's white. And again, this is a client education perspective, because what's going to happen, particularly with the clarifying C, because it's also yellow, they're going to go, is this normal? Because they're used to having white and clear serums. So Mandelic is a powerhouse for inflamed breakouts, evidenced by the photos that were done previously. So it's got a bunch of herbs in there that will reduce interleukin-1A, so it'll stop the hyperproliferation, but it's also going to basically regulate the cellular turnover within the pore as well, and the biofilm involvement. That's mainly what it does. Plant harmonizing, I tend to use for people who've got polycystic ovaries or transgenders. It's a hair retardant. Now, originally it was our primary acne serum. We don't have it as our primary acne serum anymore, simply because Clarifying C beats it from an acne perspective. But if you're looking at retarding hair, particularly downy hair, so for clients who've got, I call it bum fluff, if they've got bum fluff and they don't like it and they're either dermaplaning or they are waxing, this is phenomenal for them to actually inhibit it. So over time, over a 6-week period, what it will do is it will make the hair finer. It'll basically take longer to grow. So it actually, it basically slows down the anagen phase. So it takes way longer to grow. So it doesn't come back as quickly. So it's finer, takes less time to grow, and it's sparser as well. So you'll find over time, there's less actual hair. Clarifying C serum is our primary one for acne. So any client who does not have blackheads only, who has any type of acne, should be on this. The number one mistake people do is, because you've all been face reality trained or something similar, is you go straight for Mandelic instead of putting them on Clarifying C. And we have it because the customers then end up contacting us, I'm telling you now. So they'll see our before and after photos, and they contact the company and they'll go, I'm not getting those results. And we'll look at what they're on, and we're like, they're not on the right products. So it's really important to make sure that, just think, anyone who's got acne, stick them on Clarifying C, unless they're just pure blackheads. And generally, you'll only find that in your pre-teens where they're just blackheads. It's rare that you ever see that in an adult. So the Clarifying C has, it's got a centella extract in there as well that helps with scarring. So this is really important, particularly for darker Fitzpatricks who tend to get keloids. It actually helps with keloid scarring as well. So if your client is using these and they're still getting scarring or they're still getting breakouts, there's something they're not telling you. There's something that's missing, or they're doing something. So this is part of the challenge of it. And your clients don't always fess up with everything they're doing. I mean, we had a rosacea client once, and we would start to make headway with her, and then she'd start to regress again. And I'm like, what's going on here? There's something not right. And then we found out that she was infrared saunaing every single day. And it's why we couldn't get her skin clear, because she was exposing her skin to heat every single day, which was flaring the heck up out of her rosacea. And I said to her, I said, unless you're going to give that up, I can't help you. So it really is about digging deeper, but this will actually, Clarifying C will have a 78% reduction in closed comedones within 2 months. It's quite dramatic. So the advantage of this product is it allows them to get clearer quicker than any other traditional route. And that's really, really good for them. And we're not just talking surface level clearing here, because what they'll see initially when they start a regime, you know, if anything's got anything that's drying on it, it will dry it out and they think they're clear, and they're actually not clear at all. So I'll stop sharing that for the moment. Actually, I'm just going to show you I'll just show you these ones. So eruption emulsion. Again, this is everything it does. This is our acne moisturizer. So it's antihistamine and balances the microbiome. It decreases porphyrins, which is what LED light does. It normalizes the healthy strains of bacteria on the skin. So with acne clients, they have strains of acne bacteria that are not present on a normal skin. This is actually normalizing the healthy strains and minimizing the ones that are toxic. It dramatically reduces the size of pores. So this is not just an acne moisturizer. You can recommend this product for anyone who has concerns with pores as well. It reduces existing blackheads and prevents new ones, inhibits biofilm formation, inhibits quorum sensing, which is cellular acne communication, and it increases ceramide production, providing 120 hours of sustained hydration. So again, like acne clients are often quite deficient. If, however, their skin is dry, it's environmental. So this is where you actually may need to add in some protection, such as peptide serum or something similar, to counteract environmental impact on the skin. It increases your dermal thickness as well, regulates keratinization process, repairs the barrier, reduces both blackheads and closed comedones. It's antifungal and antibacterial, and it blocks THT. So that's it in a nutshell. And that's the reduction in 6 days with my skin of redness. But look at the pores. It's a huge difference. And this is why I'm showing this to you, because the reality of it is pores are a huge concern. When you look up here around the temple here, you can see the reduction. Now, this client, she used to work for us, and can I tell you, she never, ever had acne, but she hated her pores. And I'm just going to stop sharing this. For people who actually, for clients, particularly Asians, they don't like pores. So your ability to actually help them with this is quite phenomenal. So I'm going to open it up. Does anyone have any questions? You can unmute yourselves and ask questions if you would like. I haven't got anything in the chat box unless the chat was disabled. Is there no questions? It's on. Nope. Okay. Oh. Is anyone got questions at all? If not, I will end the recording. Oh, there's 2 here. Thank you. Fruit gel wash for KP, best products for KP on the face. So fruit gel wash, you could use for KP, Hannah, yeah, for keratosis pilaris. So it's an AHA based fruit wash. Definitely you could do that. It will help to exfoliate out, and it is actually hydrating, which would be phenomenal. And on the face, so I would actually be doing the purifying essence on that as well, and I'd be doing Velvet Smooth. So Velvet Smooth is our moisturizer for keratosis pilaris. It's got a algae in there, which actually helps to massively increase ceramide production. And they've tested it on its ability to reduce the redness that occurs with your KP, like particularly in the follicle. So that would be your best choice. And I would look, if they were going to do it as well, I'd probably look at overnight recovery mask as well. So how often to mask with overnight mask recovery and clarifying? So clarifying C, I would be doing at least once a day, preferably twice a day. But overnight recovery, look, if it's for acne, I mean, you could do it every night if you wanted to. It's not going to hurt the skin. I would be probably doing it 2 or 3 times a week, and it's phenomenal for aging. Like, as we get older and we don't sleep as well, overnight recovery mask just makes you look like you've slept even though you haven't. So I call it the party mask, recovery mask. So I've just done that one. And then I've done Jennifer's. Okay, Andrea, you've got yours. How do you rotate masks from the recommended list? Do you recommend both? So what would the routine be for them? So for the 3 masks for acne, you've got sulfur, you've got charcoal, and you've got overnight recovery mask is the ones that I'd recommend for acne. So sulfur mask, I would tend to do if they're just really mild. And then you could add in, I would only add in probably overnight recovery, can I be honest, if their barrier was compromised. So you could add it in winter if they were on sulfur mask, because if they're on sulfur mask, they've only got really mild acne. If they had really bad cystic acne, I wouldn't even bother with sulfur mask. I would just put them straight on charcoal. I would do the charcoal probably about twice a week. And then I would put the overnight recovery on, maybe rotate it and do it on different days. But the great thing about the overnight is you really don't need a lot of it. And that's why it's such a phenomenal mask. Like, honestly, if you have not tried it, try it. We might put out a thing about the overnight recovery mask. Like I said, it's a finalist in Cosmetic Innovation. And if you haven't tried it, you really need to try it, because you won't be able to speak successfully about how it transforms your skin without using it. And trust me, you'll get excited when you do. But I just love it because it's such a general all-rounder mask. So for those of you who are new to Roccoco, you know, things like Ruby Crystal Cleanser, Hydrating Essence, Overnight Recovery, they're going to move because everyone can use them. And that's the great thing. If you're worried about stuff sitting on your shelf, and the Ruby Crystal has an indefinite shelf life as well. So like if it sits there for 6 months, you don't have to worry because it's not going to go off. And the Overnight Recovery Mask has a minimum of 3 years. So if you haven't sold it in 3 years, there's a problem. So I'm hoping that answered your question, Andrea. So then I've got Randall. Peptide serum better in cold climate over finisher. Yes, it is, Randall. So I tend to, in super cold climates, go peptide serum. It's thicker than the peptide finisher. I tend to think of the peptide finisher as more of an anti-aging serum, and the peptide serum as more of an SOS rescue serum to protect from the cold. It's a much thicker consistency. Yeah, you'll find it much better. That's what I tend to use when I go to Canada. We have just discontinued Skin Nectar because we had, like I said, too many complaints about it smelling like tea tree. That's literally what it smells like. They didn't like the smell. But I always think of these things as a blessing, because now, you know, the last time I went to the States, it was like minus 11 degrees Celsius. It was freezing. And so my skin thankfully was coping because I was using the Holiday Luster serum. But what we're going to do is we're going to bring out something for cold climates, specifically for freezing temperatures, because we're going into Canada in June as well. So we'll then have an acne moisturizer version of Eruption Emulsion for a really cold climate, which will be phenomenal because they won't then have to necessarily add in boosters. I'm always about trying to minimize product usage for clients. It's not about selling them more products. It's about creating products that fit their needs so that they don't have to use 6 products. That's what we try to do, because everyone's on a budget. Not everyone can just spend carte blanche whatever they want on skincare. So question, how often to use the charcoal clarity? Look, you could safely use it daily. I would generally recommend, if they're really severe, I'd recommend maybe 2 to 3 times a week will be adequate. But as I said, if they've got like a lesion or a spot, they can just pop a little dot on the spot and go to bed with it. If it's like a major pimple that's popped up, they can do that. So I've done that one. What is the best product for melasma? So we didn't cover it in this webinar, Bobby, but I will be going through, because like I said, we've got 80 SKUs. It's impossible to do everything in Roccoco in an hour, but the best product for melasma would be Skin Brightening C and Pearl Brightening Mask. And if they're acne prone, I would be going for a cleanser. I would either be going Fruit Gel Wash or Ruby Crystal Cleanser, and then the Purifying Essence, because it's got the niacinamide in it as well. So that would be the best product for melasma. Overnight Recovery Mask, though, also targets pigmentation, but not the same as Pearl Brightening. So we have a treatment also called a Vedic Brightening treatment, which is for melasma as well. So, and our enzyme Keratozyme is phenomenal. What I might do, if you haven't signed up for an account, Robbie, sign up, because what we do is when we get you to sign up, we send out a thing that's actually got some photos on it. And if you're not already in our, and once you've signed up for an account, we can add you to our forum as well, so that you can actually have a look. So, pregnancy and acne, would you address the same way? So pregnancy, acne, I'm assuming that is, let me just see. Let me see if I can find you, Randall, and get you to come live. Where are you? Oops, I don't know how to make you guys smaller now that I've added you in here. I'm just going to get you to, oh, great, you can talk now, yay. Did you pregnancy-induced acne?
Yeah, so I'm just curious, products-wise, if you would basically address in the same way, or if you would change it, because it's coming from more of a hormonal standpoint.
It would depend on whether or not they'd had it previously. Like, had they, one of the questions I'd be asking is, have they had acne from a teenage years, and has it just flared up in acne, like flared up in pregnancy? So, basically, when I got pregnant, I knew I was pregnant before I had a pregnancy test, because my skin just massively went crazy. So the reason why, I'll just explain why it happens first, so that you can have an understanding of it. So during pregnancy, you get what's known as insulin resistance. It doesn't mean you're diabetic, and that's why some women get gestational diabetes. That's the reason why. Like, my daughter is PCOS, and she got gestational diabetes when she was pregnant. But you also get it during the teenage years. You get this insulin resistance, which is why they get the breakouts. And then suddenly when they're through the teen years, they don't get it anymore. If it's just purely gestational and it's not that they were acne prone before, then I would probably use Clarifying C on them. And the reason being is because it 100% blocks DHT. Now, if it's just purely that, and they don't normally get acne, and they're not getting blackheads, I just use that on them and just stick with whatever their normal moisturizer is. Although the eruption emulsion would be really good for reducing whatever is coming up currently, but the Clarifying C should prevent them in the future. You'll probably find too, by about the 6-month mark, it tends to improve. So yeah, it would really depend on, everything's safe there for pregnancy. I just want to reassure you of that. But if they've never had it beforehand and they're suddenly getting it during pregnancy, I would say it's because of that insulin resistance that they're getting because of the pregnancy itself. Does that answer your question?
That does help. I guess I'm still trying to learn all of the acne components and what the proper ingredients are to address different things. But then when it came to pregnancy, I guess that's just a whole nother element. But I was very excited that Rococo, I could basically market it as a more pregnancy safe
Yeah,
alternative, like say Face Reality and everything with
yeah.
really harsh products that they can't use. But I just didn't know if the protocol would basically be the same, whether or not they had acne before or they didn't, or if it's just flaring up. So I'm currently pregnant and I was flaring up quite a bit, and I started using eruption emulsion consistently now, and my acne is like gone. So
Oh, yay, that's good. I like hearing that.
yes.
With your protocol for professionally, just so that you know, you wouldn't be able to do galvanic, but
Yes.
we've also got hydro solutions which you can use, which will like flush the pores out. But even if you don't do that, what do they say about LED? Oh, they're so cautious. I mean, can I be honest, my daughter LED'd herself when she was pregnant. I mean, that's something I would actually get advice from a medical practitioner on.
I've
But
actually been using my Saluma like 3 times a week. I called around, I asked many questions, and I'm like, well, if I understand what LED is supposed to do, then I feel like it's a safe thing to do. So I feel like that's a big part of
exactly.
what's been helping too.
Exactly. So, but the other thing is too, that is if they are really having bad breakouts, you can use that charcoal clarity mask. It's
Okay.
phenomenal for flattening them. Like honestly, like so you would just adjust your routine if they were not comfortable with LED, or that you can't do galvanic on them. We know that. But what you could do is you could cleanse, you could do the keratozyme enzyme, you could then if you can't do the treatments, like you could look at, potentially doing steam with the herbal blackhead gel and doing extractions if there are any, and then finishing it with the charcoal clarity mask. So you would just adapt your routine based on the client. And like if they're pregnant, and then normally, like, did you have acne beforehand, or is it just flared up now?
No, I've been fighting it for probably the last 3 years, which going
Yeah.
off birth control is when my acne started. When I was younger, I didn't have it too bad, but that's kind of what made me dive into everything with you guys, and acne wise was just going through my own battle of like, what the hell is happening? So,
Yeah. So what you can do for acne is I'm gonna pop it in the chat. There is actually I don't know if everyone can see the chat. Um, there's a compound called inositol, which
yeah.
inositol is safe for pregnancy. Now, what I might just do is, are you in our group? Have you joined up for an account?
Me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just make sure I put it in the group again today. But there are clinical studies with inositol showing that it prevents this insulin resistance. And what it does is, for people who've got PCOS, who are having trouble getting pregnant, it actually helps their follicles to regulate properly so they actually get pregnant. We've had emails from clients who are so grateful for us because they've been trying for years, and they took our recommendations and they got pregnant. Now, I know technically we can't give recommendations, but
Right.
what you can do is you can show them the study, and you can give them the study and go, hey, this study has shown this. Go and have a talk to your doctor and check that you're okay to do this. But that's what I would have a look at. So that way
Okay.
you're off the hook. You're not recommending it technically. You're giving them a published double-blind journal study that you can give to the doctor, because trust me, they probably have no clue. That's always been my experience with GPs and doctors and specialists. They have no clue. They don't keep up to date with research. And so she can go then armed with that study to the doctor to say, hey, I just want to get your approval for this. Will this be safe for me during pregnancy? And they tested it on pregnant women. So this study is on pregnant women. It's not women who were not pregnant. So I'll pop the study up so that you can look at it. But that is something that is safe. So I got my daughter to do this when she was pregnant as well, because she's PCOS, because her skin went crazy as well. And like, it's just during this time, you've just got to be really cautious about what you do. And so I'm very, like, with my advice, like, I've had a child that's died. So I know you look for something to blame. Like for me, I blamed the gym. You know, my baby died at 4 days of age. He had a congenital heart defect. And so for me, the next time that I got pregnant, I just did no exercise. I was like, I am not taking the risk. So I know as a woman who's lost a child, and I've had miscarriages as well, this was a full-term baby that I lost. I know we'll look for something to blame. So that way you cover yourself by giving the study and telling them to go and chat to their GP, because that way you've armed the GP with some solid information that they can look at rather than just dismissing it. And you're also helping your client at the same time. So hopefully that sort of helps. But yeah, you would also be fine for that. I'll pop the study up in the group straight after this so you can read
Okay,
it.
amazing.
Yeah, it's a significant reduction, not only in breakouts, but it helped with follicle function for the ovary as well. And there was like nearly a 50% reduction in hirsutism as well for hair growth. So, I mean, that in itself is phenomenal. For anyone who's got hair growth, they should be on inositol. If they are not loving it, particularly like some cultures, like Indian women particularly, are prone to hair, they should be on inositol. I take inositol as well, because I've had a history of endometriosis. Even though I've had a hysterectomy, I still find it helps regulate my blood sugar levels as well. So I'm not diabetic, but it's certainly not going to hurt me either. So I take that, as well as N-acetylcysteine, which I'll pop in there as well. I don't know if that one is safe for pregnancy, so I can't confirm that one, but you could check with the doctor, because N-acetylcysteine, what it does is it increases glutathione in the blood, and glutathione is the skin's master antioxidant. And most of, as I said, acne, most of it's inflammation, but it also helps to regulate the skin barrier function. It's good for mood as well, because most people who've got a skin condition can get depressed. Because, you know, you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, and you think, oh my God, how can I go out like this? So it's such a phenomenal, you know, supplement. And I've pretty much never heard of anyone having any side effects on it either, which is good. So does that help, Randall?
That does. If you can publish that study,
Yeah,
then that
I
would be
will.
amazing to have as well. And if you actually have some form of literature, because I know the eruption emulsion having the retinol in it, that's, you know, always been told that that's a no-no. If there's anything that we
What
could
I'll
have
do,
to give to a doctor as well.
yeah, there's not actual published info on it, but there's stuff from dermatologists. The reality of it is anything applied topically cannot be metabolized by the digestive system. And Des Fernandez from Environ has said the same. So basically what it is anything oral will actually be converted in the body, but topically we lack the enzymes to convert it to a point where it's going to go into the blood. So as far as everyone, even osmosis say the same, retinaldehyde is not a concern for pregnant women. But again, I'll pop up the link to the dermatologist. If they have concern, I would get them to talk to their doctor. But the challenge of it is can I be honest, what else do they do? Like, there's nothing else. Even retinol, they are saying now they've got concerns with. So what else do they do? Because they need the vitamin A to regulate the cell turnover. Otherwise, they're just going to have to put up with the breakouts for 6 to 9 months, which is not a particularly great option. And we don't really have, like, the only other moisturizer they could go on would be Rescue Mum, and it doesn't treat acne. It's more just anti-inflammatory, if that makes sense. So, but I'll pop up the link to the derm thing as well, so that you've got that. And that way you can have a look at it.
Okay, amazing. Thank you.
No worries. So Jennifer has just said, can we discuss berry biotic? who is it best for, and how often in home care. So Berry Biotic is it's best used for, look, you could use it on anyone, Jennifer. It's more hydrating. It's more of a hydration. We designed this as a retail product. We got so many requests though for it to be back bar. I'm trying to think, did we put it in back bar? Some of the others we did. So we had so many requests though for this to be in a bigger size. It's half the strength of Keradesign. So Keradesign is our main enzyme that we use, and the concentration is half of what Keradesign is. It smells good though, and that's what everyone wants. And everyone sort of said, you know, why don't we do that to the Keradesign? I'm like, because people mix our Keradesign with other things like pumpkin, and you can't have berry and pumpkin going together. That's going to be a mismatch of complete and utter smells. So you can pretty much use it on everyone. Home care wise, I probably would only be doing it once a week. I don't think you need to use it more often. If it's an acne client, I'd be having them on polishing cleanser. So I would tend to do this for people who are non-acne prone, who would like a boost. This also comes in an at-home facial kit that you can sell to your clients, which comes with a ruby crystal cleanser, a berry biotic enzyme, and it either comes with a coffee and cream mask, which reduces wrinkles by 50%, and the overnight recovery. So it's got 2 masks in there. And it also comes with a headband as well. So that's like a little kit that they can do at home. And the kits originally we had a little mask brush and bowl thing that they could mix it up. So the secret with this enzyme is you need to add enough moisture so that it becomes like a mousse texture. If it's too dry and it's not moussey, you haven't added enough moisture. And then you leave it on for 10 minutes and then you literally remove it. If you are finding it's difficult to remove, it's dried out too much. And the simplest way that I do that is to just wet my fingertips and massage and effleurage, and that will generally wet it all up again. And then it's really easy to remove with a warm towel. But yeah, does that answer your question? I'm trying to work out how I get people. I don't know how to get you off here once I actually open you. This sounds really bad, doesn't it? Technology. Did that answer your question, Jennifer? I'm just going to put you up here.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Wonderful. So Deborah, okay, Deborah's asking if we're going to put the slideshow in our salons that we can just plug in. Yes, we are absolutely working on that, Deborah. So we've got a ton of before and after photos that we will put into like a downloadable file that you guys can download and put either on a USB so that you can have them showing. We're also looking at having like a coffee table book as well, so that you guys can also have it if your clients are waiting, that you can have a look at it. The other thing that we're, the other thing that we're looking at is basically having actual shelf talkers. And the challenge with this is, and I'll get feedback from people, I don't want to just have every single product, because not all of you stock everything. And then you've got these big, long things that don't marry up with the product. And so we're probably just going to do individual ones where you sit the product on there and it's got the name of the product and a little bit, and then a QR code. So that way the QR code would go to a video that basically said why the client needed the product, what the benefits of it was, and how to use it. Because the reality of it is that then shortcuts, if you are not the greatest at sales, this is the introvert's way of selling, because then you would have me on the other end with a video saying how the product actually works, and explaining it to people. And then that way they can look at it and go, hey, this is how it works, this is what it does. So that way you're getting the the correct script, I suppose. It's not really a script, but the correct wording to use to people so that they understand why they need this product. So we're developing out more of those. We've just finally had a general manager come in as well, because I've been without for a while. But yeah, so that will help with the sales side of it. But if you are struggling with, yes, it could be, Deborah, the QR code could be in the catalog, great idea. If you are struggling with selling anything, just reach out to me personally on Facebook or whatever, and let me know that you're struggling with it so that I can give you some help with how to do things. And then what I'll normally do is I'll do like a live or something on it so that everyone can learn, because trust me, you won't be the only one. And the challenge with that is often people who are introverted will not put their hand up, and they don't want to, they feel embarrassed. Everyone starts somewhere at the end of the day, so you should never feel embarrassed about anything. You know, I remember when I first started, I felt like I knew nothing, and sometimes I still feel like I know nothing. So yeah, is there any other questions that anyone else has got? I'm just having a look here. I think we've done them all. But yeah, so in 2 weeks' time, like literally same time today, I'll put the link up in a moment. We are doing one on skin diagnosis specifically for acne skins. So that way we're going to go through, how do you do it? What are the questions you're asking? What are you looking for under a woods lamp if you have one? And we're going to go through that, because if you don't have a woods lamp, it's probably one of the best investments you can have, just so that you can see what's going on. It's also going to tell you whether it's fungal or not. Like, so you can tell under a woods lamp whether it's fungal or if it's not fungal. And you can tell the type of fungi it is as well. It's actually, it's really, really cool. So we're going to go through that and then working out. So the other thing that I will be working on probably over the next 6 months is a decent bloody acne safe app, because all of them, excuse my French, are shit. I've looked at them and they're atrocious. Like, I don't know who makes these things, but they're not accurate. And like, I was looking at one the other day, and it was saying that there were ingredients there that they said were safe, and I'm like, they're not. They're not made by chemists, and they're certainly not made by chemists with acne. And that's the big thing. Like, that's the big difference. Like, we literally just had, I don't think I've got it here. We are making up a body wash for our frangipani for Mother's Day. So for Mother's Day, I'll give you a heads up. When you purchase the frangipani body cream, you will get the body wash for free. But my chemist now has to change his formula, because he made it when I was in the States. And I came back and I saw the ingredient deck and I went, that isn't acne safe. And he's like, oh, does it matter that much? I went, yeah, it does. No one's going to buy it. So this is the challenge with like formulation. When they don't have the condition, they don't realize the importance of it. And so I'm having to educate my new chemists on what they can and cannot put in a formula. And that's inherent across the industry. It's not just for acne, it's also for rosacea as well. So, and my in-depth understanding has never come from any course I've done. Everyone always asks me, how did you learn what you've learned? It hasn't been from a course. It's because I'm a geek, and all I did for 17 years was read journal studies. That was before I met my husband, and I still read journal studies even now. So that's where I got my knowledge from. It wasn't from a course. It wasn't from a book. And I keep reading stuff for that reason. Can we start a thread on the Facebook group with updated safe makeup options? We could. That I will just say, Randall, the challenge with them is that they keep changing the ingredients, and that's my challenge. Is if we recommend products to a client and then they buy them, I don't have time to check them continuously. But yes, if you've got makeup safe stuff, what I'm going to do when we start doing this app is, if you've got ingredients that you want me to put through, then we can actually add them into the database. But just recently, I bought a foundation, and like I had 3 foundations that I knew were acne safe, and you know, every single one of them's changed their formulas. And I was like, crap, what am I going to do now? And it's not just about having something that's acne safe. It's about something that performs as well. Like, you want it to stay on your skin. You want it to make you look good. If it's acne safe and it looks terrible, no one's going to buy it. But I can tell you it's forcing my hand, because I didn't really want to go into makeup, but I'm sure that I eventually will, just simply because this year, I will just let you know, our hair, oh, itchy nose. This year, my goal is hair care, particularly African-American hair care that is acne safe. So we will be expanding out that more, because there isn't anything on the market. So we're going to focus on that and styling products. Then we won't ever have to recommend another styling product again. And then I'm sure shortly after that, we may look at something else. We may start with minimal foundation rather than the other, because that's probably easier to pull off. But yeah, how many new products do we have in the works? We've actually got a few. So while you guys are here, so all of our masks, this is the sulfur mask container. I don't know if you can see that. It's probably the light, but it's got a little spatula in there. So, and this is refillable. So they'll buy the full thing, but then they just buy the pod, which will save your clients money. And it will also save you, for those of you who've got e-commerce, shipping costs as well. So I can tell you at the moment, we have got coming out, we have got a new enzyme called golden papaya, which has got turmeric in it. And it's a gommage. So you put it on the skin and then you gommage it off. It is divine, like, honestly, like divine. So I will just give you a heads up. We will be discontinuing Papaya Radiance because I don't like it. And this is also far more natural than Papaya Radiance. So that's coming out. That'll probably be, I would say, around, there's quite a few coming out in June, because we've got the bottles and packaging being done for this now. We've also got a new serum called Synbio 12 coming out, which is phenomenal from an anti-aging, acne. Everyone's going to do it. And as a rosacea sufferer, this stuff is gold. I've never, when I'm using it, do I flush anymore. In fact, my goal was to actually be able to drink alcohol and not have a rosacea flare up, and that stuff does it. So it's phenomenal. Some of the girls have already tried the Synbio 12. Actually, Lindy, I think, Debbie, you've tried it, haven't you? Let me unmute you. What have I done here? So Debbie's tried this in Bio 12. Everyone who's tried it has fallen in love with it. So basically, it's such a phenomenal serum. Like, and you know when your suppliers are begging you to bring it out, that you bought the raw materials off because you gave them some, that it's damn well good. So that's coming out. We've also got a replacement for agave juice. So we released Holiday Luster. If you haven't bought it, you're crazy. I tell you, you are absolutely crazy if you haven't bought it. I have had clinics who have said to me, I don't want to buy it because it's limited edition. Do you think anyone says, oh, geez, I better not buy that Starbucks limited edition coffee in case I like it? It's ridiculous. No one does that. Or the limited edition, you know, McDonald's burger or anything else. Of course they love it. So this is a hybrid between what was agave dew and what is to come. So they're not going to be left in the lurch, because one, their skin is going to utterly transform in the 3 months. And 2, they're going to thank you for it because you made them look younger. And then by the time they're nearly out of that, we'll have our new stuff out around June, which will be, it's called Flawless DNA. And Flawless DNA will be the first serum that we've got for acne prone skins. It's acne safe. All of these are acne safe. That also volumizes your skin. So it plumps out, like for people going through menopause, it plumps out. It will do all the stuff that agave did, expression lines, the whole lot, but it's going to plump us out in particular. And so that way we've got like the ultimate in anti-aging as well for acne prone skins, because, you know, lupine we can't use because it'll make us break out. But yeah, so that's those three, and the creme de la creme is our SPF day cream. We're still, it should be June. We've got the packaging, we're just waiting on them to finish it. We've been getting the SPF up on it. It feels amazing. I hate sunscreen. You're all going to be horrified. I don't use it. I don't use it because it's disgusting. It feels horrible. I have tried all of the other ones, such as Tizo. They make me break out. Don't ask me why, but they do. I don't use them. I don't like the feeling of silicone on my skin, like for a sunscreen. So I don't use it at all. And this feels amazing, and my skin is utterly transformed with using it. So I will guarantee you it will end up being our best-selling moisturizer. And the best part about it is we're also giving back to Indigenous community in Australia. So it's providing work for people as well. So that will be coming out. So there's probably about 5 or 6 things coming out in June. But there will be coming out further. There will be also like the body wash that I spoke about for Mother's Day. That will be a permanent fixture. It's not a limited edition. And then there'll be other things coming out towards the end of the year, but they'll probably be more focused on hair care, because we're also looking at bringing out a hair and body wash for back acne that's antifungal. That's really affordable. So we're looking at that as well. So have I checked out the site or app Yuka? No, I haven't, but I will. So the toxicity, I find with a lot of this stuff about toxicity, can be honest, it's very non-scientific. And the challenge with it is that they almost, like anything that seems to be synthetic, they demonize. And so it's one of the things I've never done is demonize ingredients. Ingredients aren't toxic. They're either not suited to someone or they're not. So just because something is not suited for rosacea skin doesn't make it a bad ingredient.
That's what
yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. One of my clients came, it was a new client yesterday, and she was telling me about this website, and she used Obagi, and she said she stopped using most of the products because she put the ingredients into this website, or you can scan it or something like that. And she stopped using it because most of it was like toxic. And she said it's rated on a scale, right? So that's usually how it is. So I said, well, why don't you send me over the information you found, because I know somebody who's really smart who can really kind of, digest this for you, because some things in these websites or these apps you use aren't really, it has a different meaning than what they're saying it does, just like to your point that you were just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And like most of these apps, even like EWG, can I be honest, they make you pay to put your product on there. So there's a commercial thing for them. So this is not unbiased.
Yes. Okay.
So they are paying to put products that are on those that are listed as safe, have paid to put their products on there. This is not an unbiased thing, and none of them are chemists. Like
that's what I also told her. Who's behind all of this? Are they scientists? Who are these people?
So one of the things on my wish list this year is actually a podcast. And I'm going to start putting chemists on there and asking them their opinion on things. Not that I couldn't give my opinion, I can. But I think having someone else weighted and edifying what I'm saying as well really just backs up what I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, like most of these websites aren't correct. There's so much misinformation, and EWG it's laughed at in the chemist community, can I be honest? Like no one takes it seriously. But yeah, it's a challenge because people are listening to it and looking at these apps and they're going, oh, well, it told me it was toxic. Like cosmetics are regulated. They may not be as heavily regulated in the USA, but guess what? That's changing. So MOCRA is coming in June, and everyone has to have their products registered. which
Mhm.
means those products have to show their safety testing and everything else. So
Yes.
it's
Well, that's
not
great.
it's not the Wild West. So the whole thing about, a USA has not got the same things. Canada is extremely strict. Australia is very strict, and the EU is as well.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
they're not going to be able to make those claims anymore. It's a bit like not tested on animals. No one tests on animals anymore.
Right.
They don't, like, even
Is
China
it?
test on animals. Like,
Right.
so the fact that all of these regulations are changing, all of these organizations are looking for ways, well, how do I make money now? I mean, how's Peter going to make money now, against animal
Yes.
testing? No one needs to register with them because no one animal tests anymore.
Right.
It's sort of like a mute point. So, but yeah, if you get sort of, my suggestion with those sorts of things is if you get a curly question from a client,
Yes.
post in the group and ask me to do a live on it.
Oh, I will, because I asked her to send me, well, I'll see her again soon. So I asked her to just next time I see her, really just screenshot everything that she has as far as skincare, and send it to me as far, even Obagi. And
Yeah.
I gave her some samples because I carry Lemieux and
Yeah.
she looked at some of those. But I said, if you find anything, let me know. And because I want to know, because I want to ask that, like, put it in the educated therapist group. So that would be great. And I'll do that as soon as she gives me that information. Because also she said it's free, but you could pay to scan them or something, and it's like a donation. I said, anything you have to pay for, you really should be skeptical about it.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be different if it was like an app that you bought and that's what you're doing, but they're making profit out of it.
Yeah.
And
And you wonder, like you said, what are products profiting off of this? Like, can you, like, are there link? Because I didn't even go on the site because you just told me yesterday, and I happened to just ask you because you brought it up.
yeah.
Are there links to the products that are there once you scan them, or like, I just wonder. I'm a very skeptical person when it comes to these
Yeah.
things, because, like
Yeah.
you said,
Yeah. Yeah.
you don't know who's behind it.
Yeah, the challenge is with consumers these days, and it's not just us, it's all of you are dealing with this, is consumers seem to think they know more than you, and they don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge problem. And I have to correct them all the time. So whenever someone says, oh, whenever someone asks me for what's in something, the first thing I say is, do you have an allergy? I don't actually give them the information, because the reality of it is for what purpose do they want to know the ingredients? And
Right.
if it's not an allergy, then you've got a preconceived idea in your head of what you believe is toxic based on misinformation that has been put on the internet.
Yeah.
And what you need to be edifying yourselves is by saying, hey, I have been studying for XYZ years, and I'm an expert in my field.
Mm-hmm.
You can go and listen to an app that is unscientific, or an Instagram or a blogger who does
Right.
not treat skin, or you can listen to me. But if they're coming to you and they're taking advice from someone else, there's a problem.
Right.
And it's a trust problem. So what they're doing is they're not trusting what you're telling them. So this is about establishing trust again.
Yeah. She's a new client of mine, so
Yep.
she was just telling me about, like, the products she used and things like that. So I'm interested. I was like, just tell me what they are, and I will get you the correct answers, because I don't know if what this site is telling you is even correct. And she looked at me like, wow, really? I was like, yeah, really.
I say to people, nothing is toxic. Even doctors will say the dosage makes the poison.
Yes. Very good point.
So what I say to people is, oxygen is toxic at 100%.
Mm-hmm.
We need 21%. You give anyone 100% oxygen, you'll kill them. Water is toxic if you drown in it. Like,
Right.
it doesn't make it a bad thing. I just think the thing is that people take things out of the context of where they're meant to be.
Yes.
Ingredients are tested religiously and reevaluated every couple of years based on current research as to whether or not they're a problem. And it's not just for the skin, it's also for the environment.
Yes.
That is why microplastics were removed and banned, because they are destroying our waterways. It's why we don't use them. It's why we started going to sustainable packaging. You know, like all of our stuff is going to refills. Like,
Yeah.
so you buy the refill and then you put it back in your packaging and put your lid back on, because it's all about the environment.
Yes.
And whether or not we like it, that's the reality. That's the direction it's heading. So I think of why not embrace it now? But it truly is about having an answer for them. So if you ever get like a curly scenario where you have a client, you go, holy crap, I do not know what to say to these, let us know. And then you can start having a bank of responses. And over time, it'll get easier for you to say it. I mean, I've had to do the same with our social media team, because sometimes we'll get people who make nasty comments on social media and they're like, oh my God, how do I respond to this? And it's just having a way to respond to them that addresses the concern, but doesn't make you come off as though you're being an asshole. We don't want to be an asshole.
No,
but yeah,
no.
like with those apps, I mean, that's why I started, you know, like I recently had someone saying, oh, my customers can't, you know, I've had a girl who can't use vitamin C. And I said, can I be honest? Often it's the formula. I said, there are different types of vitamin C. I said, and I'll guarantee you it was L-ascorbic acid. And it probably was a 20% formula. I said, and because it's 20%, the skin repels it automatically anyway, which is why they add 20% to try to get some of it into the skin, because barely any of it gets in. I said, then whilst it's waiting to be uptaken, you've got something that is a pH of 4 sitting on the skin, trying to be taken up by the skin, and the longer it gets takes to be taken up into the skin, the more irritating it is. I said, and that's why you're probably getting a reaction.
Yes.
It's a high percentage. I said, versus the way we do it, whereas it's less than 0.5%, but it has better penetration and performance than a 20% L-ascorbic. And I said it gets regenerated as well, because we've got glutathione with it, which once it nukes a free radical, it's regenerated. And it's also paired with gold as well. So it actually penetrates it into the skin. It bypasses the skin's resistance. I said, it's not about the percentages, it's about the efficacy, because that's another thing consumers will get hung up on. They'll be like, what's the percentage? Doesn't matter what the percentage is, it's what penetrates that counts. And that's where people, they get hung up on it. So my suggestion is, if you guys haven't signed up for accounts, sign up. You don't have to purchase straight away. And then you'll have access to the education portal, you'll have access to the forum. And then if you get any curly questions like that where you're not sure, this is about just learning how to address these things for you and your business, so that you know how to confidently answer it and feel like that you've owned it, if that makes sense. You're not feeling like you're on the back pedal, because the problem is when your client comes in and they say something to you, you don't want to come off as though you're defending, because if you're defending, you're on the back foot. You want to take the power back to go, hey, I know for a fact that those sites are not scientific and they're not accurate. And immediately you've just dismissed it, because none of them are accurate.
Right.
That
And you don't know.
made by marketers and entrepreneurs who are out to make a dollar.
Yeah.
They're under the guise of a public service. Bullshit. Service.
That's why
Public service, it'd be free. It's not free.
it's so true. And I love listening to you talk, and I love reading all your publications and things like that, because I did your acne class class also, and it's just so eye-opening the way you explain things in such a scientific way, because you don't get that a lot in this field, like from a lot of educators.
And to me, like, me holding my knowledge to myself doesn't serve anyone. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want anyone to go through what I've gone through with my skin. Like, why would I can't touch everyone personally with my hands. And now I can't even do facials at all. Like the last time I did a facial in America, I had bloody pain down my leg for a week afterwards because my back's fused. So I'm
Oh.
better off investing in other people so that you guys, like, you're in this industry because you want to help people. You're not in it for any other reason. So,
Right.
you know, to me, investing in you guys is the best option. Andrea, you said what tools are best to invest in? LED? Definitely LED. If I had to invest in anything, I'd do LED, because you can use it for everyone. You don't have to get galvanic, but seriously, it is a game changer for acne. Although, hold off, because I'm working on something at the moment I'm working on a natural enzyme that hopefully will get rid of a few things. Microcurrent, look, there's a lot on the market. Tamo, I believe, is the best, but it's also the most expensive. So it's really going to depend on what you can get, but you can get the MyTamas. And I think also the MyoLift 7E isn't too bad as well, because we've had a few people with those. So the best ones for journal studies is Google Scholar. Now, for those of you who have not been to university, because I've got degrees, you will not be familiar with this. This is where every journal article is referenced. So you can go onto Google Scholar and you can type in things. Now, what you get back will be determined by what you input into it. So the more that you input more accurately, like if you say, for example, does argan oil cause acne, you're probably not going to get a very good response. And don't look at anything that is published. I'll probably get shot for saying this. Don't look at anything that was published by a beauty magazine or a publication. Look for journal studies that are double-blinded and that have been tested, because what is written in beauty magazines isn't, even the professional journals, isn't always accurate. And it's someone's opinion. Basically, we don't want opinions, we want fact. And fact is a journal study that has been conducted on people. I also look for in vivo, or basically, rather than in vitro. In vitro is a petri dish, and that's not real. That's not real life. In vitro, a lot of studies in vitro don't correspond to in vivo. So I'll give you a classic example. You can do a sunscreen test, and in vitro, it comes up as an SPF 20, but when they actually test it on humans, it's like SPF 9. So you can't rely on it. And it also doesn't, it's isolation. It's like you going on a retreat and you're really good with your diet for 2 weeks because you're in a isolated environment, but then put you back in the real world, and how do you perform? It's different. And it's the same with the petri dish. There's no other biochemical reactions. There are thousands of biochemical reactions going on in the skin. In vitro doesn't actually take that into account. It's just looking at, and if you look at it, they will say coconut oil kills acne bacteria. Well, it does. But it also causes hyperproliferation. So, and we all know it causes acne. So this is why you can't rely on in vitro studies. They're not accurate in any shape or form. So make sure it's in vivo, or it's a live human study where they've tested it on people, and they've got their results, because that's the only thing I ever look at. And the other thing I only ever look at is skin studies, topical application of the product. So, because if you look at ingredients and things, and they will have all these other studies, but they are not related to cosmetics. They're not related to topical application. And that's really important, because things don't always interact. And you're looking at something internally. Cosmetics don't necessarily go into the blood. They're not meant to. So we might excrete it in our urine, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a problem either. So it's really important to make sure that the information you're looking at is factual, because otherwise you can become overwhelmed and bamboozled with it. But I will I'm going to have to bolt because I have another webinar on now. I'm coaching a few people for business coaching. But I will put up the link for the next training thing for the skin diagnosis, which will be 2 weeks from today. It will literally be just before I'm heading off for the USA, because we're going over there. And I'm trying to do regular webinars every 2 weeks. And if there is something you want me to talk on, please just pop it in the group so that I know what you'd like more information on, to educate you. And we will eventually be doing something on sales as well, helping you guys to sell, because like that is the key to your business is growing, basically, is learning how to sell successfully. So product knowledge is a part of it. But often we get hung up on all the technical stuff, which is really not what's needed to sell the product. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys for staying, and I will look forward to catching up with you all in 2 weeks. All right, have a good day or evening. Okay, bye.